Hi, this is Mama Gina, and I am here this afternoon with somebody who has become a really good friend over the last year. We've met online. We have not had a chance yet to meet in person, but we're going to make that change here in the next year as we start moving around the country again. Cloud is a songwriter, a musician, and most recently, he has been sharing a really cool mashup with everybody. I absolutely love this pagan hip hop, and it is old school. And so I'm really looking forward to chatting with him today. Cloud, say hi to everybody.
Hi, everybody. Hello. Thank you for having me here. This is awesome.
Yeah, this is really cool. So I just kind of want to dive right in. Talk about how, I mean, we can talk about anything you want to, but I really, really want to understand what led you down this road of pagan hip hop.
Well,
Why that?
so basically, I throw a bunch of music at a wall and stuff. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, that's what I
Actually,
do.
yeah, the whole hip hop thing actually spawned from my YouTube channel, and I have been writing music pretty much my whole life. Um, and I played in a lot of metal bands and like hardcore tough guy hardcore metal bands, like
Yeah.
I'm tougher than you kind of
Yeah.
stuff. And like I grew up like in that life in the metal scene and all of that, but I've always loved hip hop and like your old school hip hop. The stuff that's coming out nowadays, I'm like, kind of, but it's really something that's always spoken to me. It's something that's always intrigued me because hip hop, at its core is poetry
Yeah.
to a beat. You know, it's poetry to a beat put together in a manner that is good to your ears. Where you can really draw a lot of emotion, you can make a lot of points, and you can say a lot of things with hip
Yeah.
hop music. It gives people a voice. And I was working on this little experiment for my YouTube channel, which used to be called Moon Willow Magic, but now it's just called Cloud the Pagan Rapper. And I was doing what was called the Wiccan Music Experiment. And it's basically to prove that pagan music isn't all folk and it's not all metal. It's not all,
Yes.
it is basically music written by pagans.
Yeah.
So it's this could be any genre of music. This doesn't matter. So I have like taken it upon myself to write a whole bunch of songs in different genres of music.
Mm-hmm.
Some I am better at than others, but I'm still doing it. Um, and so I wrote a song that sounds almost exactly like a Christian rock song, and
Yeah.
it's like a pagan worship song. I wrote a punk rock song that is not released yet, but it's coming.
Yay.
I've written a metal song, like a tough guy hardcore song. I've written, and I'm writing all these different kinds of music. I even wrote a '90s boy band song for this
I
project.
love
You know,
this.
and it's just something that I've really been enjoying doing. And I had to get into hip hop if I'm going to do that. Now, before I say this, I do want to say that there are other pagan rappers out there. I'm not the only guy doing this. There are actually quite a few out
Yeah.
there, and it's really cool that people are starting to interact with me, and other pagan rappers are starting to interact now. So there are going
Yeah.
to be other pagan rappers coming out and putting music out soon.
This is awesome.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm kind of like talking with a lot of people, like, hey, just put it out. Let's just do it. Um, so I wrote this song, and it was called "People Just Scared,"
Uh-huh.
and I put it up on the YouTube. And the song was meant mainly just poking fun at all of the jokes of witches and all of that. And it's something that I wanted to do. I kind of wanted to poke fun at the fact that I was making a rap song because I literally wrote it as a joke.
Yeah.
And talking about like a couple digs on the movie The Craft in there, and a little bit of this, a little of that. Like, you people think we're flying on broomsticks.
Right.
Like you wish we could because then we'd be out fighting crime. Like just like stuff like that. Um, and I got some really, 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 really good reviews from that song. A
Yeah.
lot of people were like, "Dude, this is really good," and I was like, "I'll try another one."
Yeah.
So I told myself that, 'cause I have a lot to say as a person, as a musician. Most of us artists do.
Yeah.
I definitely have a lot to say, and I've been around, seen a lot of things. So I said, let me write a song that makes a point.
Mm.
And I sat down and I created a beat, a downtrodden kind of sad beat, and I wrote "Try to Understand."
Yeah.
And that song tells the tale of a 16-year-old girl in high school who was being discriminated against for being pagan, and her parents find out she's pagan, and all hell breaks loose at home. And it's a very important song because a lot of us have dealt with that kind of a situation in our lives. And that song is something that I listen to it personally, and even if you don't like it, I love it. So I'm like,
Right.
yes, you know, I'm gonna write a whole album. you know,
That is so awesome. Oh
and
my
it was
gosh.
this crazy creative burst that happened too. And I put this album out in like five months from that
Yeah.
point when I wrote that song. I put it out in 5 months, and I just it like consumed me. And
Yeah.
I wrote 13 songs very quickly. The creative process that we're talking about here, I mean, it was
Mhm.
firing on all cylinders. And, you know, it's always wonderful when you get that kind of inspiration.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I mean, I can't say enough like how it changed. Now that album's out and everything's out, and then you have that cool down mode
Right, right, right. And it's
where it's
what
like,
next, right? And you're already like thinking three projects ahead, kind
Yeah,
of.
I am, and
Yeah.
it's kind of crazy. I'm already working on project number two, not to mention a bunch of other collaborations,
That is so
and
wonderful.
and then you know, my third album, I wanted to be the release of the Wicked Music Experiment.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I'm going to actually have that ready by then because there's going to be a lot of work put into that. So this is like a long term project thing that's
Yeah.
eventually going to come out. Um, because I don't just write rap music.
Right.
I write everything, but I really, really, really enjoy rapping.
Yeah, I can tell you're enjoying it. I mean, I can tell that your heart and soul is in this, and I just think it is so cool. It's it's refreshing to hear something that's not. I love Celtic music, and I love Enya, and
Oh yeah,
I love the medieval stuff, and I love the new stuff, and I love the chants, and I love all of it, And but I also love our metal pagan musicians, and our and everybody that's just jumping in on you know every
yeah.
bit of it. It's just it's we're talking about pagan themes, or we're talking about our lives, but we are pagans, and so we have maybe a different take on things than other people might, and that's what makes it pagan music. And I just love what you're doing. It is so much fun. It makes me smile, you know.
Well, thank
I
you
can
very
hear this.
much.
I can hear the smile in you, even when it's a serious song. I can tell that you're really loving it. So, so describe that feeling of being compelled to write the music and get that first project out, the hip hop project out.
Let's just say I owe my wife about 45,000 apologies. Um, and I mean, I'm not even gonna lie. Like when I first, like when this inspiration hit me, it hit me like a truck.
Yeah,
And it kind of like really took over, and it was like all I wanted to do was just write and work on this and work on this and work on this. And like I said, I mean, it consumed me, but it was also kind of sort of like one big session of shadow work.
yeah,
Like because like when I started writing, it just started, it just came out. And I wanted to make sure that I made a lot of points and I put a lot of me into the record.
yeah.
And I think I successfully did that. with it.
Yeah.
Um, but it's just that feeling you get when you finish the one track, you know, and before you get on to the next one, and you finally get it to sound the way that it sounds in your head,
Uh-huh.
you know, and
Yeah.
so I like went on this complete crazy creative tear when I wrote Misconceptions. I actually am taking a different creative process to this next piece that I'm working on.
Cool.
And that's something that I think is going to make it even more personal. Because what I've been doing, and this is something that I would suggest any pagan that raps and regularly practices meditation and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Put your beats on repeat and meditate to them.
Yeah.
Meditate with your plans on repeat and let the music tell you where to go lyrically. That is what I've been doing, and it has been working out wonderfully.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I find I do my best writing traveling in a car. That's when I get, because I don't have a radio on. I don't like to turn the radio on. I have windows down because I've got what do they call it, 440 AC, four windows, driving at least 40 miles an hour.
Yep.
Um,
Yep. Get that good cross breeze going.
right, right, right.
Yeah.
And the road makes a sound that's like a white noise that just makes everything else go away. The driving part of me is still paying attention, but it makes everything else go away. So much stuff comes through, and it's kind of like having those beats going, because it's that rhythm, that constant rhythm of the wheels turning on the road. And I find that my greatest inspirations usually come in those times. And then of course I have to like out the road. I have a stack of notebooks.
Yep.
I scribble stuff down as fast as I can.
That's awesome. Yeah, I do something similar on the road when I drive.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that I do. Well, first of all, I do majority of my post production work driving, of re-listening to everything. For
Yeah.
me, it has to pass the car test.
Oh, absolutely.
If it doesn't sound good in the car,
It
I'm
doesn't
not.
sound
I'm
right.
not putting it out.
I actually I finally broke down, because I was building my studio this past year over COVID, and I have some decent flat studio monitors. No Uber response. They're just nice and flat. But everybody kept saying it's a pain in the neck to keep going out, burn a CD, and go out to the car and play it, because I only have a CD player in my car. And I have one of those baritone mono,
Oh,
uh,
yeah.
they cost like $300, but it's the worst speaker in the world. You don't buy it to listen to music on. You buy it because it sounds like a crappy car speaker, and if you can make your mix sound good on that, it's going to translate everywhere. And so that's that. I don't have to get up and go to my car, but that's where I do most of my mixing, and then I open it up on everything else to see how it's going to sound.
Mm,
But
that's
yeah,
that's smart.
the car test is like, you got to do the car test.
Yeah.
It's got to be right.
Yeah. Especially with hip hop. I mean, like hip hop is meant to be listened to loud in a car.
Yeah.
um, but I like another thing that I do while I'm driving. So after recently, should I say, after I've been like meditating, and then getting the inspiration from the beat to what to write about, then I go into what I call like brainstorming mode for the song. And when I drive around, I listen to the beat on repeat and freestyle to it, and just pick
Nice.
up what sounds good, but I keep the general idea in my place. Now, I am not much of a freestyle rapper at all. I write everything I do. I'm not going in this freestyle battle rap stuff.
Right,
I'm
right,
not
right.
doing that. Like I am a poet. I write what I do and then I release it,
Yeah.
And so but I've been working on the freestyle and stuff, but it's been working because I've been finding like choice lyrics. I'll come up with like a really good one and it'll come out and I'll be like, okay, and I'll like stop and write it down real quick and
Mm-hmm.
then build off of that, you know. And I always write to the beat.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Now when I'm writing, it's different for me. Like when I'm writing on acoustic,
Mm-hmm.
because when I'm writing on acoustic, I usually have a vocal tone in my head before I start playing.
Okay.
I have an idea where I want to go lyrically before I start, and then I kind of transpose that to the guitar. So I guess it's a little backwards on how I do things with
Yeah,
music, but
I never know how things are going to happen. Sometimes I have the full story idea that comes through, and then I go, I need to write a song about this. And so it's just a lot of diligence of figuring out, over days, weeks, sometimes a year or two,
yeah,
trying to get that song massage right. A lot of times if I'm in the woods though, I'll just have my guitar in my lap all day, or my drum is right there, and I'll just play stuff. I'll just noodle all day long. And sometimes it's a lyric that starts the song, and sometimes it's a guitar riff that starts
yeah,
the song. Sometimes it's a chord. One chord can like just emotionally shape me, and all of a sudden it's like the whole song is in right there. Now I just need to figure out what
yeah,
that chord is because I have no idea. Right?
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, see, I've been working on producing some of my own beats. Now I don't produce all of my beats, but
Mm-hmm.
I have been dabbling with learning how to produce beats and making some of my own beats.
Yeah.
And one thing that I've noticed, like when I do, for me, I will find myself being touched by like one random sound and be like, all right,
Uh-huh.
I got to get that in there somehow, like, and then just start building around that,
Yeah.
you know. But if it's like something that's already made and it's a beat that I'm trying to pick to write to,
Mm-hmm.
usually if I can come up with some kind of a like a chorus or some kind of like delivery idea, like note wise, even
Yeah.
without having lyrics written, I can come up with a cadence,
Yeah.
then I will most certainly like try to write to it.
That's
But I
so
have to
cool.
see if I come up with a cadence that sounds good, which is literally me going blah 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 without actually putting any lyrics in.
Actually, that's a really popular way to rate. The Knicks used to talk about that where Annie's partner in the Eurythmics, he would come up with this music and he would play it for her and say, "This is what I hear." Like he would hear, but he wouldn't hear words. He would hear like maybe melodies or a rhythmic vocal approach on top of the
Yes.
music, and then she would go write that. And I think that that is so cool to me that people do that. I mean, occasionally I have like a line that I'm like, I have no idea what that's going to be, but it's got to fit this cadence and it's got to fit this rhythmic pattern, kind of, sort of, and
Yeah.
yeah, for me
Yeah.
it's more of a puzzle when I get to that when I get that far.
Yeah. Definitely. I've been finding, like, speaking of puzzles, I actually just have,
Hmm.
something like I do a lot of counting when I'm writing.
Oh,
Like I will count along with the beat each lyric to make sure, and sometimes I will even go as far as to count syllables.
wow, really?
Yeah, but it's rare that I go that deep. But for faster stuff, for like a faster delivery, I will break it down into syllables to make sure that it fits in time with
The
with
flow.
the actual flow. Which has caused me to buy a rhyming dictionary to find
Really?
other words and
Uh-huh.
other ideas that will translate from a specific word so that I can get the proper syllable count. Sometimes I get kind of OCD. So some of the people that I've been working with, like sometimes it will take me, a month to write to a certain beat, but that's because I break it down that fine sometimes.
I love that. I love that. There definitely there I mean you could find places in my notes where I've written songs where I have a line that I know needs to be filled and I just haven't found the right way to say that thing yet. And I'll be looking at the whole rhyming scheme and I'll be like, okay, it's got to rhyme with bake. And I literally write down every word I can think of, even if it doesn't fit the song, that rhymes with bake in order to go back and try to see, you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's such a bizarre process. It seems like it's, it seems so inspired, but then you get into the weeds and it's like it's all about the details, and only I can do that. And the goddess ain't giving me shit now.
I have to say, I've definitely had a couple experiences while writing where the goddess has given me
Mhm.
stuff. Like for example, the recent single I just released. I want to say, well, yeah, I released it on Ostara. Yeah,
Yeah,
um,
Persephone.
yeah, Persephone's Dance. That is something that I actually envisioned while meditating, and as soon as I was done, I was like, I have to write this down immediately. And what I did was I wrote down the experience in my dream journal.
Mhm.
And then I just took that page and put another page right next to it and just managed and worked out lyrics telling the tale. And it is actually quite difficult as a lyricist sometimes when you only have 3 minutes or 4 minutes to get your point across for something that huge.
Yeah.
It's there's a lot of wordplay that has to be done, and
Yeah.
it's very, like, that was another thing when that song, I heard the beat. I said, wow, this is really good. I'm going to meditate to this. I meditated to it. So Ebony Nash sent me that beat.
Mhm.
ELN is her producer name she goes by. And she sent me that. And I listened to it and was like, this is amazing. I'm going to meditate to this. When I meditated to it, I had the vision. And then once again, I was consumed for a week and a half. It was all I was working on, all I was listening to. It was all I was talking about. Drove my wife nuts again about it. Like, oh my God, this song, I got to get this song out. I got to get this song out. I canceled plans with people. Like, it was,
Right.
yeah, like it really just hit me. And so from that point, I'm like, well, if it hit me that hard, I'm leaving pomegranate seeds out like every night
Right,
now.
right, right, right.
Like, and I have been. I've been
Yeah.
leaving offerings. I've been,
That is so awesome. It's a consumption. It's a compulsion. I listen, I know time goes away for me. I've had people tell me, I've had people come, like, I'll be at a festival, and honestly, I do a lot of writing at festival because I'm sitting out under the trees. It's really nice. Some people are coming by, but it's not like gangbuster busy most days.
right.
And I'll be sitting there under my thing, and people will come by, but I am so consumed with this thing that's happening. And some of my friends know what's going on as soon as they come up, and they'll go, I've got a plate of asparagus here for you, and they'll just leave it on my and they'll go away, say, I'll be back in a couple of hours. Or I'll look at people who don't know what's going on. I'll say, can you come back in a couple of hours? It looks like I'm not doing anything, but I have this thing I'm doing in my head right now. And it's wonderful that we have families and friends who get that process. Even if they don't get the process, they get that we're going through a process, and they
Yeah.
give us the space to create, and the emptiness around us, so that we can hear what's coming through. Because this is a tough business to be in, period. And this is a difficult art form because a lot of times it doesn't look like we're doing anything, right?
Yeah.
We look like we're being, we're just being lazy, but our brains are going 100 miles an hour.
I do have to say I am looking forward to the festival experience myself.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that my travels are going to give me a lot of inspiration to write. So I'm really looking forward to doing that, shaking hands with people, meeting people, learning new things. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't actually done a show yet. I've done a few online shows, but I have not done a live show yet.
You will, and it's
Uh,
going to be
I'm sure I
awesome.
will. I'm sure I will. So we have to wait for this pandemic to end before I can get out and really do anything. So, but it's kind of crazy because, like, I released the album, we locked down pretty much immediately,
Right.
And I was like, hmm, well, I got nothing better to do. I guess I'll start writing album number two. And
Yeah.
I went to work on it, and I'm already almost finished that. So
Oh, how exciting.
yeah,
How exciting. That is so cool. So, do you feel, I mean, you've got a head for marketing too, which is something that a lot of us artists don't have. I mean, I'm watching you pop up everywhere. You've got your own podcast with Witchcraft Grenade, which is spectacular.
thank you.
It's I like it because it's a little edgy. It's not disrespectful, but it definitely pokes fun at. And so I love it. Uh, and you're like working with community in a whole lot of different ways and in a whole lot of different aspects, and a lot of
Yes.
them are marketing kinds of things. So I need your brain to explain to me how to look at all of that stuff as part of the creative process, because I get to the marketing thing and I go, this is the stuff I don't want to do. I don't want to. And you do it. It seems like it's effortless.
Well, it is not effortless by any means. So thank you very much for saying that. It is actually a grind, and to be honest, like I spend a good amount of time. I probably want to say I spend at least 45 minutes to an hour a day on social media,
Mm,
and it's really just as the creative process goes. It's more in creating ways to get the word out more, or especially for a lot of the projects that I do.
right,
Like for example, for Witchcraft Grenade, I make memes, and I make a lot of memes for Witchcraft Grenade. Like the little funny memes with the
right,
guy
right,
and it says
right.
the funny thing, you know. And for Pagan World, I do the same thing, and I also share everything that they're doing, and I talk about them, and I attend things so that I can experience it, and then I tell everybody about it. So there's a lot of different things that you can do. Um, but I mean, it's so crazy having to go from YouTube to Twitter to Instagram to Facebook to say the same thing on all of
I,
them.
f- I feel so burnt out, and I feel like I don't get a return on a lot of the stuff that I do. I get response, and by response I mean I get people who actually buy my music. I'm not talking about likes and
Right,
stuff like that. I'm talking about people who really are genuinely interested and want to purchase the music. And I realize that our creative stuff is not about making money primarily,
right.
but if we want to do this, make a life and a living doing this, we got to have an exchange
Yeah,
of energy there.
I still work my full time job, and then I
Yeah.
do this on the side, and I'm doing this so that I can get to a point to where I don't, and I only really want enough money to get by.
Isn't
I don't
that it?
I don't want
Yeah.
to be rich, like so let's
I'm
face it,
willing to
I'm not gonna
sacrifice.
be.
Yeah, I'm willing to sacrifice all that. But man, I just I get frustrated. Like I did in 2019. Everybody was like, "You got to be on Instagram. You got to be on Instagram. You got to be on Instagram." And I did 180 days where I posted every day. And I mean, they were organic posts. Nothing was pre-done. It was pictures of flowers, of where I was at, kind of thing.
Right,
A lot of it. It was just, hey, I'm at this festival and here's a pretty flower on the that I saw this morning, or here's a cow that's in the
right,
field right behind me. And just, or hey, I just wrote this. Here's my lyric sheet all scribbled on, kind of thing. And I did that for 180 days, so half a year. Nothing, nothing. I couldn't, and I felt like at the end of that 180 days, I thought I can't spend my time on the marketing stuff where it doesn't, where I don't get some kind of
well, did you use like
gain.
hashtags or anything like that with the
I
posts, or
did. I did. I
hmm,
was using hashtags, and it was when I was really strongly doing the Nine Toes the Bard stuff, so that was always hashtagged, and it just wasn't working for me. And I've avoided Twitter kind of for the same reason. And I see people on Insta, I see them on Twitter. Everybody's talking about TikTok now. And I feel like, listen, I I can't even get my songs down to 5 minutes because I got a lot of stuff to say. And I'm listen, my music is not for the radio, right? If I write a 6 minute song, I need it all 6 minutes because I don't waste anything either.
Right.
And now you're telling me I have less than a minute to get my point across, and I just it it feels like it goes against everything I want,
Okay,
want to
so TikTok
do.
TikTok is its own entity. It is its
Right.
own animal. To be honest with you, I barely use it. I let me see here. I don't really do all that great on social media, but for some reason the other things I promote do well.
Mhm.
My music itself is like, all right, I've got a couple hundred followers. I just hit 500 on my YouTube earlier this week. You know, um, well,
Congratulations.
thank you. Like I'm not like huge or anything on any of this stuff, but I've been studying it, and I've been
Uh-huh.
studying it so that I can help out the community. Really, like I started really looking at it when I took over as the YouTube host for International Pagan Radio. When
Yeah.
that happened, that was when I immediately started studying how to grow this thing. And I've taken that from like 80 subscribers to like 160. Like it's a grind. It's a slow burn.
Yeah.
I've had this YouTube channel together for almost 3 years now, and it just hit 500 subscribers.
Yeah.
And it's because what we do in the grand scheme of things, as when it comes to social media algorithms and stuff like that, what we do is a niche.
It is
And
absolutely.
only people that are going to be, only really other pagans or people interested in paganism are ever going to search for our stuff.
True.
So it's already a diminished pool of people that we're
Mhm.
looking at. So
Yeah.
what we have to shoot for is we have to shoot for those actual fans that we get, the actual, not the people who just see them like, oh, that's pretty cool, and just like hit the subscribe button and check
Yeah.
out your stuff every now and then. Like the people who are actually going to communicate, and the people who are going to come out and buy it and purchase it and come out and see you and support the community.
And you know how I grow that audience? One hug at a time
Yep.
on the road. I It doesn't happen on, I mean, it's happened a little bit over the last year and a half because I've pushed harder on Facebook and YouTube. But really, and let me tell you something. My Facebook list of friends, I know those people. I mean, I actually know those people. I can look at a name and say, "Oh yeah, they've bought all my CDs," or and again, that's not what this is about, but you know, when you talk about getting fans, it's not about getting likes and shares and all that stuff, and it's hard work.
It's
And
about building connections with people.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
You,
yeah. It's
you, you
about
know,
connecting community.
Right, and that is something that I'm really looking forward to. See, I haven't had the experience yet to be able to do a show and then get off the stage and then hug a bunch of people and say hello and shake hands and meet people,
Oh, it's gonna
and
rock your
actually meet
world.
people. So I'm probably gonna have to get like I'm just gonna go ahead and bring like 5 notebooks with me because I know myself pretty well, and I'm pretty sure after the first couple shows I'm going to get a very huge head, and I'm going to have to write everything out and get rid of it. You know,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
because the
yeah.
only way, one of the things that my creative process is for me is that it is me. It is authentic. I am never going to write or talk about anything that I don't even one know about, two haven't experienced about, three don't have a strong feeling about.
Right.
Like I'm not. I am who I am. Even though I'm Cloud the Pagan rapper, it doesn't mean I'm what's up, yo? Cloud the Pagan rapper, I'm the toughest guy in the world. Like
Right.
that's not me. It never
Right.
was me. It won't be me. That what you see is what you get.
I love
And
it.
so when I sit down, I go back over what I'm saying, and I will re-listen to the songs and go back to what I said and be like, would I really do that? You know, like especially if it's like, you know, one of my songs, I talk about defending myself from psychic attacks, right?
Hmm.
And I'm like sitting there, like, would I really do that? Well, I would. Okay, then so I'll keep it in or whatnot. It's
Right.
not like it's very easy to get ahead of yourself when you're writing,
Yeah.
and if you're not writing from like an authentic place,
Hmm.
you know, and not telling a tale as it's meant to be delivered, I don't really see. I mean, short of like creating fantasy and stuff like that, but even that has its points and its life lessons.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Everybody has something that they're trying to say with whatever it is that they write.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. I hear you. It's such a bizarre way to live compared to what the rest of the world does. And it's like I've been, especially since COVID, because when I am on the road, there are days when I don't pick up my guitar. If I'm driving for 2 days, my guitar might go into the Airbnb with me, or I'm sleeping in my truck in a Walmart parking lot. But I'm not pulling my guitar out on long drive days because I'm too exhausted,
right?
literally. Um, but but I I can't imagine not living this life anymore. You know what I'm saying? It's
Mm.
I've had the chance to do this, and I can't imagine not doing this anymore. Um, and so I'm excited for you to get to the point where you you can choose.
Well, I will say I am partially terrified that I'm gonna get out on the road and I'm gonna drive for like 3 or 4 days, go to a festival, do a show, and then maybe have another one lined up and drive over there and do that show, and then I'm gonna hate it. You know what I mean? Like all the driving, all the running
Have
around.
you ever done it before?
No,
You've been in bands, but you haven't toured like that.
I did like a mini tour,
Okay.
but it was like 4 shows. Like it wasn't
Yeah.
really. Yeah,
There is a mindset. There is a mindset because I started on the road, my first road band. I was in bands before that, but the first band that I was on the road with, literally, I went from living at home to being on the road 52 weeks a year, singing 6 nights a week, driving on the seventh day, essentially. And I watched, and that was a 6 piece show band, and I watched musicians burn out over and over again. I mean, bass player was a revolving door. The other girl in the band, I had 5 different partners because we were a two girlfriend. I had 5 different partners over 3 years, because it is not easy.
well, yeah,
It's the only life I want, and it's easier for me than sitting still. I'll tell you what, this last year and change has been hard as hell. And if I didn't have the project that I've been working on and working on it every day and going to school to learn how to do this project, I I don't think I would have survived. I would have gone absolutely stir crazy. I'd have
mm.
had to like go rent a camping space every other weekend and just go set up the tent because
Yeah, yeah,
I miss it so much.
hmm.
But
Yeah.
you'll figure it out.
I'm sure I will. I'm sure I will. So we got to take the first step and get the first one out of the way first. But
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
but yeah, this is. I have to say, it's like I honestly think that the more life experience we have, the more we have to write about, the more we have
Yes.
to create, the more we have to be creative. And it's amazing that with the technology that we have nowadays, we can do that.
Truth.
Like for example, and I've said this before, but I don't know if I've ever said this directly to you. My first album, Misconceptions, right?
Mhm.
This, well, my only album, but yeah. So Misconceptions, I did entirely on my cell phone. The
Cool.
whole album,
Yeah.
the lyrics, the beats that I made on it. Like it was, and I even like got a hold of like mastering programs and ran them through mastering programs and everything, and it was completely created this like CD quality record
Right.
with my cell phone.
Yeah.
And it's really awesome to be like I could be in Pittsburgh at like a PA Witches Ball, Pittsburgh
Uh-huh.
Witches Ball, and just be like, you get hit with an inspiration and just record it there.
Yep.
Like,
I know the technology is amazing to me. I think that one of the reasons I waited so long to start working on the She Walks the Star stuff is because I was waiting for not just the time to learn the technology, but for the technology to catch up to what I wanted to make it sound like. And it
nice.
certainly has in the last couple of years. And then, of course, this year I've had all the time in the world to do it. So,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. And more power to you for not only creating that whole CD on your phone, but for hanging with the day job while you're doing it. I mean,
It's
that's
not easy.
hard. That's
Yeah,
hard.
yeah. I put a lot of time and a lot of effort, a lot of my free time. I focus on my music, and
Yeah.
like I said earlier, like I spend like an hour a day, like communicate with people on social media, and if I have something to say, I'll post it and send it everywhere so everybody sees it, and you know one a day on something. Like I get a follower on Instagram, I get a follower on YouTube, I get a follower on Facebook, like, and I'll get like one a day on one of them. you know like
I think
it's
it's going
not
to be
like God.
No, I was going to say I think it's going to be really cool because you're already going to have an audience when you get to festivals.
I'm working on it. But I see that one of the things that I do see is when I go to the festivals, there's going to be a lot of people that check me out of sheer curiosity.
Yeah.
They'll be like, "Wait, pick a rapper? What?" Like,
Yeah.
um, and I'm working on getting my name out there, and this isn't for fame or fortune or anything like that. It's because I have a lot to say, and
Yeah.
and I want you people to hear it. you know, um,
Absolutely.
but there's also a lot of lessons that I've learned in my life that I wish to never happen to other people, and they are also laid out in that record. So it's kind of like, I don't know. It meant a lot to me to even release it,
Yeah.
and so now this next album is meaning even more because this is something I've always had on my bucket list, to release an album. And even though I've played in bands most of my life, I've only really recorded twice. And it was like for like some like 6-song demo to be sold at hardcore shows. Like
Right,
this
right,
is
right.
Decimate's record. Like
I love it.
yes,
I
I did
love
play
it.
in a band called Decimate for a while, but
That is totally cool.
yeah, it's kind of crazy with this, like as we're talking about the creative process, how creative you actually have to be, especially when it comes from just kind of like piggyback into the marketing and the promotion and all of that. When you're an independent musician and you don't have money to be hiring people to do this stuff for you and all of that, because I looked into it and that stuff is expensive.
That's right.
And it's like, I'm going to give you $500 and I might get 10,000 followers on Facebook, but they're probably bots.
And
And
they're not real. Yeah, it's
yeah,
not, and it's not going to be sustaining.
right,
And my like my YouTube channel is around 400 something. It's closing
right.
in on 500 and it's been out there forever. But those 400 people, again, I know who they are and I know they download my music. I know they listen to my music,
Yeah,
you know? And it's organic and it's slow, but it's also going to be out there for a really really long time, and
hmm
that's part of the payoff is that people will still find it. You'll be
10
on
years from now,
CD
yeah.
number 5 and people are just finding misconceptions going, this dude's kind of cool, I wonder what else he's done. And as you build that body of work and you build those friends that come along with you. And I hate to
Yeah,
even call them fans because for me, these people are my friends. I mean, literally, we hug each other, we eat together, we hang out at fests together. I mean, we are friends, right? We are community. This is, which I think is
absolutely.
different than other types of music that I've done.
I can agree with that. I can agree with that. I mean, I have had a few experiences where, like, we'll say South Jersey Pagan Pride a couple years back before
Yeah.
the coronavirus and all of that. I played an
Uh-huh.
acoustic set, and I met a ton of people. A lot of
Yeah.
handshakes, a lot of hugs, a lot of this, and some of those people I still talk to.
Yeah.
You know, like, and I taught a workshop there too, and there was a whole other group of people that were there that came to my workshop, and it was like, oh wow, this is great, and you know, I still talk to a bunch of those people too. You know, so you're absolutely right with that on how that works. Like, I would definitely consider them friends as well.
Yeah.
You know, so I was just thinking about that. You know, for coming from a place of not having that experience to have that experience,
Yeah.
and it's like, yeah, absolutely. And these are
Yeah. And
people that you're going to speak with more than once in your life, I'm sure. You
yeah,
know,
you're going to wind up staying in their houses, and they're going to feed you breakfast, and they're going to pull out the bacon, and say, "You want some bacon?" And you're going to say yes. And you know, you're gonna sit there and have coffee with them in the mornings,
yeah,
and you're gonna get to know their dogs and their cats and their snakes. And it as much, I am a hardcore introvert, but I love that part of the process of meeting all of these people that are so genuinely wonderful. They open their homes to you, and it is fabulous. It really is. And I miss it terribly. And it's going to be happening because I just got my first shot, and I'm going to get my
yes,
second one in a month. And that means in about another 3-4 weeks after that, I can actually move about if I choose. I'm not scheduled to do anything until fall, but I'll be doing some Samhain festivals
nice.
down in Florida. So,
That's awesome.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. I will
It's
be down in
exciting.
Florida for spring next year.
Oh, how awesome.
Yes, yes. I
Woot!
will be down there for
Woot!
spring next year. Um,
You know what you're coming for?
um, oh god, this is bad. This is terrible.
No, no, no. It's all good. It's all
It's
good.
the Ocala Forest. Where is it? I have it somewhere.
I believe
but
you. I believe
but
you.
um, yes, I will be down in Florida doing a festival, and it is actually quite embarrassing that I don't have the name off the top of my
It's
head.
okay. Listen, we've all
But
got our heads in other places lately.
yeah, but it's I'm also so excited that I just drew a blank about it. I'm pretty sure that's what happened. Uh, because you know I'm like the rookie. You know what I mean? Like in this pagan music community and all of that. I mean, I really am like the rookie.
I remember what it was like to be the new kid on the block, and I was 50 when I came out as a solo pagan musician. I played music before that, but not
Yeah,
in in our community. And that feeling of, oh my gosh, look, that's SJ Tucker, and oh, that's Wendy Rule, and oh, that's Dov the Bard, and oh, this is little old me in this corner. And it's it it doesn't stay like that, because everybody wants to hear what you do. Everybody wants to hear the music, because I, we have a lot of really, really talented musicians, but there is so much room for so many more
mm,
to share. And
I agree.
yeah, it's really awesome.
Yeah.
So, dude, oh my gosh, we've been talking for a while.
Whoa.
This is, I know, we could go for another hour, but no, we won't. Tell folks where they can find your music, how they can find you, and we'll be sure to put links in the show notes.
Oh, thank you. So you can check out my YouTube channel, which is Cloud the Pagan Rapper. When you type it in, it'll come right up.
Awesome.
Seeing as you can even type just pagan rap in there, and I'll probably just come right up. Uh,
Cool.
um, and you can go to my Bandcamp page, which is where I do a lot of my single releases, and it will come out early before it hits streaming sites and everything. So you can really get the quickest, up to date everything
Yeah.
from the Bandcamp page. So that is Cloud Rapswicca at bandcamp.com. And
Excellent.
you check out my two new singles that I've released since I've released Misconceptions, and I do have another album called Modern Bard coming out soon.
Yes.
I am I'm on Instagram, Twitter, you name it. I'm on there at Cloud Rapswicca. You can come find me. Pretty much everywhere except Snapchat because I'm old and I don't understand it. Um,
I'm so glad you said that.
But I
I'm
don't
way older
understand
than you.
Snapchat, but I have figured out TikTok. You can find me on TikTok at Cloud Reps Wicked.
Okay. Okay.
um, and thankfully, my daughter has taught me the ways of TikTok. It's the only reason why I know it.
Very
So
cool.
shout out to Lily on that one.
And your podcast?
Yes, podcast Witchcraft Grenade.
Uh-huh.
You can go to Witchcraft Grenade at .wordpress.com, or you can
Cool.
go on Facebook at Witchcraft Grenade. Definitely check out the Facebook page because we definitely post a lot of memes and stuff on there. And you can find Witchcraft Grenade on any podcast streaming site. It is up on all of them.
Yes.
Yes. And
Yes.
one more thing I would like to say that I am a part of. I am one of the editors at Pagan World.
Yes.
And Pagan World is going to become something very excellent for our community. It is a online directory for pagans by pagans. It is not a replacement of Witchfox, but
Yeah.
it is an expansion on the idea.
Yeah.
And there's going to be workshops and circles and shows and all sorts of stuff going on with Pagan World, not to mention your local directories at the core to be able to connect us all once again. So
Yeah, I'm
that's
excited about
something
that.
that I'm a part of. And you can also check out International Pagan Radio's YouTube channel, where I am on there interviewing people and interviewing other artists and doing what I can to help and uplift our music community here. So
I love it. I
absolutely.
love it. I love
Yes.
it. Because what good is a creative in a corner with nobody to share it with, right?
Yep.
Share all that stuff with everybody.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I hope to hear from you guys out there and come to say hello. I don't bite. All right. Um, but absolutely, I'm most certainly looking forward to going out and meeting people on the road and everything, and shaking hands and having those experiences. So,
Absolutely. You're going to love it. So Cloud, thank you from the bottom of my heart. This has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you. Thank you.
well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you having me on. Always a pleasure to speak with you.
Thanks.